Hello and welcome to the Bran Ramacco podcast. I have with me today an Angela Beyer. Hello, Angela, and thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
So she is a health coach and personal trainer. She's from Germany and she's now in the States. Maybe I'll let you sort of introduce yourself and how you sort of moved into helping people with health and being a health coach and personal trainer.
Mhm. Yeah, so I never planned on being a health coach or personal trainer. I have a finance degree and I was a banker in my 20s. And yeah, typical story. And I think that happens to a lot of us. After school, I started college, focused on my career, and I became really sedentary, not exercising, not moving at all, and I gained a lot of weight. And then I joined the workforce, and the weight didn't come off. Of course, I was focused on work, work, work. And I was just really unhappy with how I looked, how I felt. So I wanted just to get rid of the weight. And what I remember too was the social pressure,
Mm,
the pressure of how you look and how you present yourself in the bank environment and
mm-hmm.
socially, everywhere, actually. And to be honest with you, I was not in the healthiest relationship. So my partner at the time put a lot of pressure on me as well. So what did I do? I just tried every diet, what I could get my hands on. And I just did it and see what happened. And of course, it was very harsh on the body. There was not really a concept or any health backups with those diets. So I just was, yeah,
Just getting sicker and
losing weight.
sicker.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What happened was I developed an eating disorder.
Mm-hmm.
It's no fun to talk about it, but that's what I went through. And I over-exercised until I literally broke down,
Because
ended up in the
yeah.
hospital, and
Mm-hmm.
major health issues.
Yeah,
Yes.
because it can be compulsive. Um, I,
Absolutely.
I have I don't want to out who I'm specifically talking about, but there's someone close to me who went through something similar, and she was sort of hiding that she was purging, so she'd feel guilty for eating. She's a sort of the thought about food, food, food. I can't think about food, or like she's obsessed thinking about food, and if I eat, the pressure and
Yes, it's a vicious cycle because the funny thing is you want to control your food intake, but you get haunted by food. You were always thinking about, can I eat this? Or should I eat this? Or if I eat this, I gain the weight and then I have to go to the gym. And
hmm
like you ate something and you ran on the elliptical for hours,
hmm
beating yourself up and thinking you don't deserve this. And it's so painful. And I was depressed. I was anxious. My body was hurting. I had no energy. I mean, it was painful. That was the lowest point in my life when I think about my health, my mental health, my physical health. It was a struggle. And like I said, when I ended up in the hospital, that was like my wake up call. I'm like, I need to change. And what I did was I signed up at a nutrition school to become a
hmm
nutritionist just to be my own client. I wanted to understand the science and what we have so many different systems in our body and how they work together and um, what food does to your body and how it works and how you can use it and how much you need. And I wanted that peace around food and I wanted food freedom. And so I went back and got my degree in that just to learn it. And I started exercising during that time as well. I got into strength training, but my main focus was the food. Again, this is just a little part of your life, though. I haven't changed my crazy work schedule. I haven't changed my relationship. I didn't address things. It was as bad as usual. So I had to, again, put a hard stop on
hmm
everything.
hmm
I quit my job, broke up with my boyfriend, and I went to the United States to take a little break, to learn English
hmm
and recoup
hmm
and say, okay, where do I want to go next? I fell in love with the country and I wanted to stay. So I got an internship at a bank. It's funny when you stay in your comfort zone, and that's what I did. I was comfortable in banking because I was good at it. This was not my passion and it wasn't a challenge. It was a comforting thing.
Mm.
It's very comfortable where I was in. I knew what I
Hmm.
was doing. So again, I went back to banking. And I remember talking to my immigration lawyer how I get a work visa.
Hmm.
And oh my gosh, as a banker in the United States, forget it. There's no way. There are too many bankers. You don't have any special skills. No way.
Actually, let's talk about this a little bit more for the audience. I made a YouTube video about the H-1B1 system. A lot of people, a lot of Americans are like, "You're a doctor. You're licensed in the States. Like, why can't you work in the States? It should be easy." Like, why? Well, of course, we want doctors and people with master's degrees and things like that and special certifications. It's like, no, there's millions of illegal immigrants every year, and they let in 85,000 people through of professionals, and that's in all fields. And it's a
Yep.
lottery. It's basically random chance, and you're just not going to get it. And it's they only pick names once a year, so you have to wait once a year to
Right.
maybe get it for a chance.
It's
It's
crazy.
just crazy. You're not going to get it.
No. I remember, like I said, what if I apply and just see to get a work visa? Like, how long would the process take? And she's like, oh my God, just that somebody looks at this application, it would take over 10 years. And I'm like, excuse me, what? Yes. So I had the same experience. And I mean, it's like you want to work, you have the educate, like again, and then there is this huge roadblock. So she said, if you don't have any extraordinary skills, you can get a work visa. I said, well, I don't have any extraordinary skills in banking, but I can lift things up and put them down real well, really good at bodybuilding. And she's like, well, if you can get a world champion title for the United States, you can get a green card. So I'm like, well, that's a stretch. That's okay. I had
Oh.
nothing to lose.
Hmm.
Nothing to lose. What did I do? Here is the challenge. I got ready for the Miss Florida in natural bodybuilding. I focused on my diet. I focused on workout. It was like a rinse and repeat kind of thing, day in, day out. I was doing my thing, prepped, and it went really well. I won Miss Florida, got qualified for Team USA. I went to Los Angeles, competed at the Miss USA
Hmm.
in natural bodybuilding, won Miss USA. So I was able to represent the United States at the Miss Universe show, which was a big show. And yeah, I was able to get the Miss Universe title for the United States, and that's how I got my green card. Boy, when I had that title, that moment, everybody is like, is that the happiest moment in your life? And to be honest with you, I felt relieved.
Hmm.
It was huge relief. I'm like, wow, it's official. I can get work. I'm like, wow.
Your life path had changed, and
Yes, yes. And of course, then I said, okay, it's time to stop banking, get out of your comfort zone, which I did before getting ready for all those shows. And that's what I mean. When you step out of your comfort zone and really challenge yourself, you can see what you're made out of and you can grow and really improve and get to the next level. So I started after this as a personal trainer. I wanted to get experience. I saw that being a personal trainer has too many limitations in order to help clients efficiently.
mm,
So I got a health coaching degree. It's a total
hmm,
approach. You got to look at everything. You got
hmm.
to look at nutrition, at the exercise part, at stress management, rest, recovery. It's a lifestyle. So what I do now is looking at all those things if I work with clients. And yeah, I started my own company, and that's what I do. I help clients to get healthy and in shape.
So you mentioned lifestyle, and
Mhm.
there's a certification for physicians called lifestyle medicine
Oh,
because
wow. Okay. That is
it's
awesome.
it's not commonly known because there's not that many
No.
physicians who do it, and it's not that profitable. because you have to actually spend time and talk to the patients.
Mhm.
So I got the certification just because I believe in it, and it was a good course and good education. But of course, there's yearly education, continuing education fees,
Yeah.
and maintenance of credential fees. But I want to
Mhm.
support the organization and their mission to get more physicians treating people with lifestyle medicine.
Yeah.
People don't get better with just exercises. They don't get better with just drugs. You have to treat the entire person.
Yeah, and Brendan, you know what's so interesting? I mean, I can only talk about the United States, but right now it's all about longevity. And all I hear is how we can live longer. And we have this biohacking movement and all those
Mm-hmm.
things going on, which I'm really interested in too. Don't get me wrong. And I love this. But it's not about longevity so much in my eyes. I think it's about, or uh, lifespan, so to speak. It's about health span.
Mm.
I want to live a long, healthy life and drop dead. That's my
Me
ideal.
too.
Now,
Yeah.
this is the point. Like, why do you want to extend a life when you get diabetes in your 60s or
Mm-hmm.
hypertension or whatever? Like, what are we talking about? I looked it up, and in the United States, the average lifespan right now is 79 years. The average health span in the United States is 63.
Mm-hmm.
There is a 16-year gap where
Mm-hmm.
people are suffering and not having the life quality they deserve or being able to enjoy things they did before that.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. That's a long time. And you work all your life, and then at the end of your life, you're not having the quality to enjoy all those things you were planning on doing. Like, isn't it time to not only invest into your retirement plan and save the money, like invest in your health and take care of yourself and make sure that you stay healthy for a very long time?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Something I often say to patients is, your capabilities shrink to what you expose your body to on a day-to-day basis. So if you're very inactive, if you don't raise your arms above your shoulders, eventually you'll lose the ability to raise your arms above your shoulders, and it'll hurt. You
Yep.
have to sort of plan to be active so you can stay active.
Yep,
And
absolutely. I think sitting is the new smoking.
mm-hmm.
Absolutely. You cannot be sedentary. This is the worst you can do. What happens, and this is where like my approach is maybe different than any other like trainer out there. I'm focusing on weight loss, having people to reach their ideal body composition. So that's what I'm doing. But how do I do it? And this
Mm-hmm.
is where I think I'm different. We use at the moment the scale as an indication, like a weight on the scale, and you can measure probably your body fat percentage. And it gives you another number. And then we are focused on body fat. I'm focused on healthy muscle tissue. And I have a muscle centric approach. Why? Because that is one thing where you have the power over to improve very easily. You get the most bang for your buck, and the muscle is the organ of longevity. Let's name it that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Because, for example, we talked about different systems beforehand. Let's say you're not having enough muscle or healthy muscle, and you eat a meal and you have your carbs, and everybody's scared of carbs because what happened over time, people were not moving, not training their body, they lost muscle or they damaged the cells. So now in their 40s, that's where it's most of the time is noticeable. They have their meal, the carbs go into the digestive system, they turn into glucose, hit the bloodstream. You get the signal to the pancreas, and the pancreas produces the insulin,
Mm-hmm.
which is all good, fine and
Mm-hmm.
dandy, but the insulin, the hormone, what opens the cells, which is the key to get the glucose out, hits damaged or not enough cells. So the glucose cannot get out. The muscle is a glucose sponge. So the glucose stays in the bloodstream, goes to your liver, spills over, and we built that visceral fat, that belly fat, what nobody wants and which is very dangerous. And these are the first signs of insulin resistance. And here you can see an indication that your health is going down. And you really need to put something in action to turn that around. But this is just one example. I think too, muscle and bone are like a married couple. If you have healthy muscle, you have healthy bones. And if you have strong bones, you have healthy muscle tissue. Now, you cannot really, how can I say it, like change the bones, but you can change the muscle and force the bones to get stronger as well. So again, that's your leverage, the muscle. Here we go again. See how much power you have if you actually, literally power you have when you have healthy muscle. It's being able to function and have all those things healthy.
A few things I'll add, and you're probably aware of these things or have heard of these things. I love a colleague of mine, a physiotherapist. He pointed out some research studies one day of the 70s and 80-year-olds to see basically how big could they get by bodybuilding, and before and after, like they can bodybuild. 70s, 80s, absolutely. Giant muscles, giant biceps, they can do it.
This is the beauty of the body. The muscle response is always there. Always. It's never too late. The only thing what you have to acknowledge or pay attention to is that you have a little bit of an anabolic resistance. So the older you get, the more work you have to put in.
That's it, yeah.
And the other thing is you always have to make sure that you have a robust protein amount in your meals to trigger muscle protein synthesis.
If you weren't going to say it, I was going to say it. So thank you. Yeah, if you don't have the building blocks, you can't do it.
There was this movement, or it's still going on, with being plant-based and veganism and all that stuff. And I was vegan for seven years. I enjoyed it a lot, but what I saw was that and this is so interesting. This is by doing learning. Like I didn't study that one. That was like just by experiencing it myself, and I had to figure it out. But if you go and you buy a product and it's plant-based and you read the food label and you read, for example, on the nutritional information, the fat, how much saturated, unsaturated, trans fats are in there. Then you go to the carbs, how many carbs, how much fiber, how much sugar, how much added sugar, all that stuff. And then you get to protein and it says a number. That's not enough because you need a complete amino acid profile. And plants don't have it. Yeah. Yes. So you need to combine it. And that's what I had to learn the hard way because I couldn't keep my muscle up. I'm like, what is going on? I'm having enough protein. Why is it not going? And it did. And I lost strength. And I had to understand that I need a leucine threshold from 3 to 5 grams per meal to trigger muscle protein synthesis. So I added back in animal proteins and it made a huge difference. Huge.
And some of those specific proteins are necessary for neurotransmitter synthesis and other hormones and and also speaking of nutrition, oh my God, we could dive into like a lot of people are like anti-cholesterol because there was so much about anti-cholesterol. But cholesterol is what makes our hormones. And if you look at healthy people, 1940s, 1950s, their cholesterol values were so crazy high compared to what we have now, and they were healthy. And so now they're really looking at the statistics that I think we were looking at this data wrong. The cholesterol isn't the killer. It's the type of low density fat traveling through the body, and they're trying to figure out exactly what's the correlation, what's causation, but it doesn't seem to be the cholesterol itself. because high
No.
cholesterol is actually associated with reduced rates of depression and things like that in people with sort of normal body habitus.
Yeah, I mean, you need cholesterol for your brain to function.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And I just read the book Cholesterol Myth, The Cholesterol Myth. And they were talking exactly about that. And it's actually, they said, of course, the sugar, for example, scratches the surface of the veins, and then
Mm,
the LDL patches it up too much. And that's
yeah.
like the band-aid.
Mhm.
And that's what causes this. So again, how about eating less sugar and not worry about the cholesterol so much? The cholesterol is just a vehicle. I mean, that's what it is. It's really funny how they demonize it, but yeah, I agree. It's an interesting topic.
And speaking of you saying that the muscles are a sponge for sugar, and I was talking to a functional medicine doctor or communicating back and forth about maltodextrin, which is a chain of dextrose, which is glucose, which is the sugar of the body.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out the body processes it even better than pure glucose because it's just a bundle of glucose that the body can break up easily.
Mm-hmm.
And so, obviously, if you have trouble managing your blood sugar, it's going to spike your blood sugar. But there are
Yep.
people who work out who are taking it on purpose because, as a post workout, because their muscles are craving sugar and that they need to replenish their stores, that they're sponges for sugar.
What you want is creating a flux in the muscle, carbs in, carbs out.
Mm.
Absolutely. And that's the key. Like, let those muscle work.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, what I experienced, fructose, on the other hand,
Yeah, we could talk about fructose.
does not get absorbed into the muscle, believe it
Nope.
or not.
Nope.
It's a really bad choice after a workout to have a protein shake with fruit. And yeah, you don't get the recovery as you want because it doesn't get
And I
absorbed.
don't think I've on the podcast I've talked about fructose because well some people think it's bad because of people say high fructose corn syrup is bad so therefore fructose must be bad, and then some people are like, well, fructose comes from fruit, so I have other people who think that fructose must be the best sugar because it comes from fruit. There's other good things in fruit, which is why fruit's good for you, and fruit actually has a low concentration of sugar in it. You actually don't get that much sugar in a fruit, and the fiber in it helps with digestion and it sort of
Right.
negates the negative effects of fructose. But fructose is not glucose. It's not the right sugar for our muscles, and it gets processed in our liver, and it gets converted basically straight to fat, straight to
Correct.
fat. And then if our body needs that energy, so it goes fructose to fat, and then from fat to glucose. So in a
Correct.
very roundabout way, but it has to go through fat first and can contribute to fatty liver disease and
Correct. Yeah.
yeah.
So this is such an interesting topic because I think even if you look at, like, let's say refined straight up sugar, if you take it in the right amount at the right timing, there is no problem for the body to digest it, absorb it, and you won't have any health
Mm-hmm.
issues. Um, it's the amount and the timing,
Yeah.
and you gotta earn your carbs. It is what it is. Very simple spoken. And I think it's interesting how you can play with that. And if you know what you're doing, you can get a lot of benefits out of things where people say, like, oh, they're bad or not good for you. And it's always, I don't really have bad foods. It always depends on the person and what the person is doing. So I prefer whole foods. I wanted real foods, but if I have to, I do have a protein shake. It gotta go quick. It's a high quality protein shake. I have no problems with using it. I'm not demonizing it. If it's the right thing to do at that moment, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? And there is a lot of, how can I say, playground. You can play with food.
I'm thinking of this petite Parisian French woman who was a friend, and she ate cake for lunch every day.
Hmm.
And my partner at the time was really jealous. How could she be so skinny and so petite and fit? And for lunch, all I see is cake, 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 cake. Every single day, she has cake. But yeah, that's the only thing she eats for lunch, and it's a small amount of cake. And so if you look at the quantity, now, and she eats lots of vegetables and things for dinner, and like she over the day she eats well, and it's she,
Yeah.
the American eating until they can't physically stuff their mouth and then sitting down for cake.
Yeah, that's amazing to me. I don't understand the portion. Like that's a huge problem.
Mm-hmm.
Huge problem. And I think you brought such a good example because if it comes to food distribution during the day, um, what you can do and where I see a lot of success with my clients is actually have very little or no protein at lunch and your body can get by. The only time where you cannot mess around with your protein intake are the first and the last meal.
Mm.
The frame meals, they have to be robust proteins. Lunch, if it's a small amount and not a complete protein or none, the body can handle it. Now, if you look for results, I always recommend having it evenly spread out during the day just because you cannot store the aminos. So you want to supply all day long. But if somebody is happy where they're at and their lunch is not, or their mid meal is not that high in protein, the body can handle it really well and you're not losing that much muscle or not at all. Like I have really good results with that. And that gives you a little bit of flexibility. So choosing cake for lunch is not maybe optimal, but it works. Yes, definitely can work. It's just
Um,
like a breakfast and dinner.
yeah,
Mhm.
there's optimal, and I love that you help your clients. You really, really get down to the nitty gritty. It's sort of like that hacking stuff to sort of maximize your gains. You're spending time thinking about your nutrition anyway. You might as well
Yeah.
maximize it. And I'm
Yeah.
learning from you because I didn't know about sort of bookending the day with protein is the most important. So I'm learning as well. Um, but it's the I'll bring it up because I was reminded of the capabilities of the human body.
Yeah.
So some people are like, oh, I need to have, they get health obsessed. Oh, I need to have this much magnesium every day, this much, this much, this much, this much. Our body is very good at recycling things.
Yes. Hmm. Hmm.
And it is, although when you're talking about gains in terms of muscle, it is important to eat regularly. You could, when I get busy, I don't really sweat about it. I can go a day or two without eating, or with eating
Yeah.
like one meal a day.
To be honest with you, it's actually very beneficial to give the body a break,
Hmm. I
have a
think
little
so.
bit less food. Yeah. I think it has a lot of longevity benefits.
You hit
Um,
ketosis.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and it helps actually to recover, heal, um,
Hmm.
get the toxins out. I think it's so fascinating. We have all those detox cleanses and oh my gosh, all those things you can buy. And I mean, this is just to look at that is overwhelming to me. And what is it? It's a juice where you extract the fiber and you hit the system with a lot of carbs. To be honest with you, what is in a juice like cleanse?
Yeah.
Pineapple or an apple and lettuce and kale and whatever they put in. I mean, they're different combos.
Hmm.
And of course, there are benefits of it, but think about it how you hit your system and you have no protein whatsoever.
Hmm.
Why are you doing this? If you just have a fast, a gentle fast, and sometimes I do fasts with just a little bit of protein, so you have no insulin respond.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it helps too, so depending on the person what they can handle and where they're at in their journey, and they're doing fine with it. But yeah, absolutely, I love this stuff. Mhm.
I'll tell you a bit of story because I had lots of health issues. Eventually, I quit my job as a teacher. I went into healthcare to fix my own health issues. Similar story to yours. But I was experimenting with sort of like you. I was experimenting with, oh, what's that diet? Let me try that for a month. Okay, what's that diet? I'll try that for a month to try to see if it was something systemic, something with my diet. So one month I cut carbs out entirely, no carbs.
Mhm.
Um, and it's fascinating. It didn't fix any of my health issues,
Yep.
But what it did do was it reset my taste buds.
Yep.
And so before, I liked lots of fruit and I liked like chocolate cupcakes and cookies with chocolate chips in them.
Mhm.
And I loved ice cream. I would buy ice cream all the time. That was my treat to myself. Very sugary yogurt. And then after the diet, I have a carrot. I'm like, oh, that carrot's real sweet. That's a really sweet carrot. And then a bit
Mhm.
banana. Oh, that banana's way too sweet. Maybe if banana and peanut butter sandwich to knock down that sweetness. And I couldn't eat cookies and chocolate is.
Yeah, and isn't that interesting? Because I think what the food industry does is actually hijack
Mhm,
our taste buds
mhm,
and then the brain. And by doing that, I mean, it's so fascinating because the body actually knows when the body needs something. You get a taste for it.
mhm,
And let's say, oh my gosh, I have a taste for oranges. But what you do is you get orange candy, like
mhm,
something would taste like an
mhm,
orange. And the body, this is what happens, didn't get whatever it was, what it needed, what vitamin or mineral would give you the signal for the orange, and you start having cravings again. So you just ate that orange cake or orange candy or whatever it was, and you're still looking and looking and looking because the body's still telling you, hey, I have not gotten what I needed. And it's so interesting how the food industry knows how we can hijack that or how we can manipulate people to get to that stuff. Yeah.
I love where our conversation has gone today. And it turned out to really go into really deep into food. Who I thought might go into more muscle building, but um, I loved our conversation today. I need to wind it up a little bit. Do you have any closing remarks for our audience?
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, I want you to take action today and look at your life and where you can clean up and can improve it. And if you have not worked out yet, please start working out today.
An excellent message, and I will second that because you have to do it. You have to take charge of your own health. Um, you are the only expert in you, or can be the only expert in you, and you consult with other experts, and you need to manage your own health and sort of take control and take steps, even small steps. And I'll have links below the video so you can check out Angela's website and services if you need help. So thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Angela.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.